and our future. That was the message of a 12-year-old indigenous climate activist from India who disrupted the proceedings at the UN Climate Summit in Dubai, where outrage is growing after a call to phase out fossil fuels is dropped from the draft of the proposed climate deal. We'll go to Dubai for the latest. Then to Texas, where the state Supreme Court's ruled against a woman who had to flee to another state to have an emergency abortion.
Get happy.
As Kentucky's abortion ban
Oh, get happy.
Challenged. In America,
get happy.
A woman dies from pregnancy complications.
Every 8 minutes.
Abortion bans as a key factor driving increasing maternal and infant death rates.
Oh, get happy.
Relatives of hostages held in Gaza urge Israeli lawmakers to use diplomacy, not war, to free their loved ones.
Get happy.
Speak with an Israeli peace activist whose 84-year-old mother was released by Hamas in late November.
Get happy.
And more coming up. Welcome to
Get happy.
DemocracyNow.org, the War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. Israeli troops backed by tanks and heavy artillery have stormed the besieged Kamal Adwan Hospital in northern Gaza Strip, where 3,000 displaced people are sheltering.
Oh my God, get happy!
Unrelenting assault. Al Jazeera reports medical staff inside the hospital are among those shot and killed.
Oh, that hurts.
Killed Monday.
Get happy!
Israel's military bombarded the hospital's maternity ward.
Ooh, get happy!
Included a dozen children in an intensive care unit and 6 newborns in incubators.
Oh, get happy!
Palestinian health officials say Israeli soldiers were rounding up men in the hospital courtyard, stripping them, blindfolding them, and taking them away for interrogation. A human rights official said such treatment, quote, amounts to a war crime.
Ooh, get happy.
The assault on the Kamal Adwan Hospital comes as Israel's military continued to bombard the southern Gaza Strip, including Rafah on the Egyptian side, where thousands of Palestinians expelled from northern Gaza face dire shortages of food, water, medicine, fuel, and shelter. This is Suleiman al-Maliha, who was displaced along with her family from northern Gaza.
There is no food or drink. The house is destroyed. There is nothing. There is no money. Please stop the war on us, for God's sake.
Get happy!
We are innocent people. We have nothing. We own nothing. We are unarmed people, for God's sake. Look at us, Muslims, foreigners, the U.S. itself. Stop the war, for God's sake.
For God's sake, get happy!
We go. You move
Praise Jesus, get happy!
We don't know where to go. We don't sleep. By God, we don't sleep. We are depressed. We are scared, dead scared about our sons and children. We have children
Ooh,
with
get happy.
paralyzed ones. Where would we go?
Palestinians and their
Where are they gonna
supporters around
go?
the world joined a global strike Monday demanding an immediate
Get happy.
ceasefire in Gaza. The action, which saw businesses closed and other activities suspended for the day, came in response to the United States veto of a UN Security Council resolution calling for an urgent ceasefire in Gaza. In Washington, D.C., over a dozen Jewish elders chained themselves to the fence in front of the White House.
If you can, obviously you don't have to do this, but if you can, it would really help us donation to our
Get happy!
Disobedience
Yeah, get happy.
Palestinians killed by Israeli forces since Hamas's October 7th.
My father founded St. Jude
They
Children's
also
Research.
chanted, Biden, pick a side, ceasefire, not genocide.
Ooh,
Also
get
in
happy!
Capitol Hill, over 100 protesters occupied the Senate atrium Monday, urging lawmakers and the Biden administration to cease all military aid to Israel and instead divest funds for affordable housing, healthcare, and other needs.
Hey,
Many
why not?
protesters
Get
wore black
happy!
shirts with the words, invest in life.
Yeah, baby.
Dozens were arrested. The Harvard Corporation, Harvard University's highest governing body, has rejected calls to fire President Claudine Gay following a contentious congressional hearing on anti-Semitism.
Ooh, get
and
happy.
an effort to restrict pro-Palestinian speech on college campuses.
Ooh, get happy!
That's according to the Harvard Crimson, which reports the decision came after more than 700 faculty members signed an open letter calling on the Harvard Corporation
happy.
to, quote, defend the independence of the university and to resist political pressures that are at odds with Harvard's commitment to academic freedom, including calls for the removal of President Claudine
Ooh,
Gay,
get happy.
unquote. The letter continues, quote, the critical work of defending a culture
Oh,
of free inquiry
are you happy
in
yet?
our diverse community cannot proceed.
Come
if we
on,
let
get
our fate be
happy.
dictated
Come on,
by
get
outside
happy.
forces,
Do. Come on, get
Claudine Gay
happy.
also won the backing of Harvard's Alumni Association and more than 70 Black faculty members who called attacks on her specious and politically motivated.
Oh, no
Gay
kidding.
was
Get
inaugurated
happy.
in October as the first African American and second woman to lead Harvard University.
Get
She's the
happy.
daughter of Haitian immigrants. Efforts to unseat her came as University of Pennsylvania President Elizabeth McGill resigned.
Oh, we can't have these
position
women running
following
stuff. No.
intense
Especially
Republican-led backlash
get
and
happy.
a Capitol Hill grilling by far-right
Get
Republican
happy.
Congressmember Elise Stefanik. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky is in Washington, D.C. today, hoping to break a Republican-led deadlock over U.S. military aid. On Monday, Zelensky said any further delay of U.S. support for Ukraine's military will play into the hands of Russian President Vladimir Putin.
Get happy.
Zelensky's visit comes as Ukrainian military leaders admit their months-long counteroffensive aimed at reclaiming territory occupied by Russia has largely failed. The White House has asked Congress to approve more than $61 billion in additional aid to Ukraine, part of a
From NPR News in Washington, I'm Jack Spear. The Air National Guard is taking disciplinary action against 15 service members in response to the leaking of
Oh, get happy.
greater restrictions on immigration. This comes as The Guardian reports allies of Hungary's far-right Prime Minister Viktor Orban are holding a closed-door meeting with Republicans in Washington to push for an end to U.S. military support for Ukraine in a two-day event hosted by the Heritage Foundation think tank.
Sitting in a room together talking about this, which hasn't happened before. More than 130 countries signed a declaration about climate and health, and banks and philanthropies have pledged more than $1 billion in funding for health projects. That's enough reason to celebrate one day. These doctors, who are all in their 40s, have never known medicine in a world without climate change. But many say this COP feels like a turning point. 28-year-old Tarika Zine is a medical student in Tunisia in the negotiations.
I'll take it away. It's like that. I think we're just enjoying this momentum and what seems to be like the beginning of something.
Zine and the other doctors are closely watching to see how health gets incorporated into final negotiations.
Issued by India's government last April ordered diplomatic staff in North America to launch a sophisticated crackdown scheme against sick diaspora.
Yeah, this was like living in your car. Hey, it's get happy.
Which reveals the memo
Considered from NPR News.
investigation by India's
Caring for an older person can be tough, especially if they have complex conditions and their adult child lives far away. More people are hiring private care managers to help, as Ashley Milne Kite reports. Anne Sansevero had spent 16 years as a nurse in New York City when she started her own business as a care manager. She'd seen lots of older patients leave the hospital only to be readmitted soon after because they couldn't cope once they were back home.
It was then a light bulb went off that there's a huge need for
Get
care
happy.
coordination in the community. A holistic focus.
widespread criticism from climate activists who denounced the draft text as a death warrant for the planet. The document released Monday instead calls for reducing both consumption and production of fossil fuels. Environmentalist, former U.S. Vice President Al Gore, said on social media, quote, COP28 is now on the verge of complete failure, unquote. Meanwhile, a peaceful action broke out Monday.
And he's
as
getting
several
paid for it.
activists gathered
He's
outside a
happy.
meeting room in Dubai's
Yeah, he's
city
happy.
where COP28
He's called
President Sultan
the
Al-Jaber
loyal
was expected
opposition.
to
That's Al
hold a
Gore,
news
right?
conference.
Starting with
Protesters held
him
hands and formed a line
giving up on
demanding a
being
fossil
president.
fuel
Hey, we'll buy you
phase-out.
out, kid.
This
Don't
is
worry.
Emma
We
Barrett,
need
climate
Georgie
activist
Porgy
from
in
the
there.
United States.
Get happy.
If we don't phase out in the text at this COP, then there's a very high chance that we are going to exceed 1.5 degrees of warming, which will
It's already a done
ensure
deal.
completely
Come on, if you
unlimited
can't see
use
this
by
as
any
a
for marginalized people, for
straight up
indigenous people, for people of
soap
color,
opera
and for everyone.
of
We'll go
distraction.
to Dubai later.
Hey, happy.
In California, a group of children has filed a federal lawsuit charging the Environmental Protection Agency and its administrator with failing to regulate life-threatening greenhouse gases despite knowing the harm it causes the children's health and welfare. It's the latest in a series of youth-led climate lawsuits brought by the nonprofit law firm Our Children's Trust. 14-year-old plaintiff Avro S. said in a statement, quote, "We're experiencing what no one should have to experience. We're facing constitutional negligence. We're challenging the EPA's failure to protect us. The air we breathe has become a casualty of their opposition," unquote. In August, a court in Montana ruled in favor of a similar lawsuit brought by young people who sued Montana's government for violating their constitutional rights as it pushed policies that encourage the use of fossil fuels. The prosecutor behind Donald Trump's federal election interference case has asked the U.S. Supreme Court to clarify whether the former president has immunity from prosecution. Special counsel Jack Smith made the request for an expedited answer from the Supreme Court Monday to stave off any delays ahead of
Hey,
Trump's
buddy.
schedule for.
How you doing?
Okay.
Still in L.A.?
Yeah.
Yeah, good. Do you know Sheryl Crow's album and that song, This is L.A.?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Every time I hear it, I think of you.
Yeah.
So you having a good time? What's the temperature there? Is it warm? Oh, it's a little nippy here, 17 degrees. Be happy. It's almost Christmas. And it should be fun. I've been here now last 5 days. I haven't gone anywhere.
Okay. Hey, want to fly here?
Well, maybe. I have no way of getting to an airport, so that's problematic. So yeah, it's a potential, right? Today, the last few days has just been the first really cold
Maybe
days.
I'll just fly there. I'll fly there, and then you can stay. We can stay at the art school.
Oh, that'd be fun. Yeah. That'd be nice. Yeah.
You can stay downstairs.
Yeah.
I'll stay in the upstairs.
Yeah. So when you left, did you turn everything off? Or is your parents keeping an eye on the school?
I don't.
Yeah. Okay.
Him got the trash.
Uh-huh.
Brought it down the hill. My dad has a picture already sent me, and we turned it. Well, they turned the electricity off, and they have the electricity on, but
Yeah. When they're not using it, they turn it off. Which is that's what I mean. You turn it off so the well doesn't call for water.
You lie.
See, get happy. Get happy.
I know. They ran the water out of the pipe so it doesn't freeze.
That's good. Yep, that's good.
Unless I don't go there for this winter, and then how are you going to survive in the cold?
Well, so far so good. That's all I take it one day at a time. So far it's been. We really haven't had any snow. That's a good thing. But I can't go anywhere, so it's really not people come and get me, take me to the doctors when I need to go to doctors, take me out shopping every now and then. There are a couple of people who said, "Oh, if it gets really cold, we'll come and get you. You can sleep on the couch." So, I have that level of making sure I don't freeze to death. So, so that's all good. So, but this morning it was 17 degrees, but in the man cave it was 40. So, that's not too bad. So, as long as it's that way, as long as it stays above freezing in the man cave, and it's all good. But yeah, the internet is going really. They brought in 5G and broadband, and everything is totally gone terrible. Uh, so even the internet is hard to get. Anyway, what else is new? That's about it. I've been reading. Last 6 days, I read Acts and Kings and Song of Saul. King Solomon, and that guy. The Bible is like more erotic than Playboy. Um, if you read the Kings and Solomon had something on the order of 700 wives and 1,100 concubines.
It likely burned in hell.
Well, he was God's chosen one, Solomon. Next to Abraham. He was.
Where you read that?
Yeah, in the Bible. Yep. And pretty much, especially the Old Testament, there's a ton of begatting going on. And
well, they burned in hell if they were that bad.
Well, in Solomon, God is talking to Solomon and says that sex ain't bad. You're supposed to enjoy it. God said that in the Bible. Have you read Acts or Kings? So that's what I was reading. And to get the Bible, you got to read those things more than once. That's for sure. And there are books. There's 60. I think there's 66 books, right? And you got to read them over and over and over to kind of get what they're going. Especially Peter and Paul. Have you read them at all? Peter, First Peter, Second Peter, both are really interesting things to read. Because here's a guy who can't even read, and he ends up being pretty amazingly deep about the Old Testament. And he was reading it in Greek too. Back in Jesus's time, the Old Testament, the Jews had been conquered by so many people that Greek, it's like English is the go-to language on planet Earth now. And back in Jesus's time, Greek was the go-to language. It was like the business language. And so after Christ died, between Christ's death and Paul, it's about 70 years, 120 years or so. The Bible was totally in Greek. And so if you really want to read the Bible, you read it in Greek. So John Boy hung up. Praise Jesus. Hey, be happy. Let's see what these guys are saying. Oh, he's coming back.
The bombing.
Hey, there he is.
Can hurt them. My mother was
Hey.
in Every bomb that fell on Gaza.
It sounded like the entire school district policing me. It didn't even sound like you on the phone. It sounded like worrying that they were listening to every little tiny detail.
Oh, John, don't worry about it. I mean, just don't worry about it. Be happy.
You were saying.
Just be happy. If you have God in your heart and Jesus is the pilot of your life, that you're the co-pilot, and you are accessing God's love through Jesus's forgiveness, you got nothing to worry about. That is the real tenets of the Bible. All the rest of the stuff is a soap opera. And that's why I read it, because it's kind of entertaining. It really has, he's scared that the police are listening to our conversation. But he really doesn't want to hear that one, that, God is all there is, God's unconditional love, and Jesus is unconditional forgiveness. Here he comes. Okay, there you are.
We're just doing the whole thing. No, it's not you. You're different from the Cave Spring schools.
Uh-huh.
You are different from the Cave Spring schools.
I would think so. Yep, I'm definitely different. Yep. Mm-hmm.
The little too big for their britches.
Yep, baby. Meaning I'm just here to have a good time and serve God's unconditional love. That's all I'm here to do. I'm a slave to God's unconditional love. And I access that through Jesus's unconditional forgiveness.
I like the Roanoke County Police, but I think the schools are well, that's the first time I ever said they're, how are you?
I'm great. I'm good, you know. I am thankful for every second I have of life. I live in the moment with Jesus Christ. I think about others and not myself.
Oh, no.
If I think about myself, I could get depressed, but I don't. So I don't get depressed.
Carrot. Can you eat carrots?
Oh, I can, yes. I boil them up until they get soft, right? The thing, you know, the church used to give pretty good food, and now they just give like hamburger helper and cheese, mac and cheese. But they do have canned vegetables, which I'm a big fan of canned yams and canned carrots. They really are pretty good. So that's my major diet is that, you know. And since it's Christmas, the churches have had some pretty nice Christmas dinners. So
I get it. You say who. If you ask who, it's some person who broke the law in Roanoke County, who they're looking for, who did something against the law. So you can never say who, asking a question after somebody talked about something that had nothing to do with the person, because you may match the description for the criminals they're looking for, even though
God, come on. Come on, John. You're on there. You're on a like broken record there, buddy.
They put the blame on random people who did nothing wrong because they don't have real crime to worry about.
I know that. Yep. I know that. See, that's the thing about John. He is the patron saint of suffering, right? But he's right on. He's like totally right on. Get happy, you know. Come on, get happy. Let's see. He's back. He's back. Hey, you're back.
In Roanoke County, they don't have real crime to worry about because they don't have to risk their lives as much as other big, huge cities who are doing good work. And they're the ones who get the bad guys and do the real heroic stuff like Superman. So, hey, hello?
Yeah, I'm here. I got other people in the car with me.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm here. I'm listening to every word you're saying, and you're right on, John. You're right on.
Okay.
Right on. So what's going on? What's going on in LA?
That peace process look like?
What's going on in LA?
They can't control that. But
Who's talking there? No, there are very few Spanish-speaking people there.
What?
There are very few. Well, I know a bunch of people who speak. Well, I know two people who speak. I know many people who speak Spanish there. I know.
What are you talking about? LA? So what's LA like? What have you been doing in LA? What have you been doing for fun?
Well, working at videos almost constantly when I wasn't editing them.
Oh, great.
Or doing God's work.
Are you putting them on TikTok? Are you putting them on TikTok? Or you got them on your channel? Have you gotten yourself an agent? Some management? I mean, all you need is a little management, and you could be a big A-lister.
Well, I've been looking for an agent, so I may do some stand-up comedy.
Yeah, you would be great at stand-up comedy.
Yeah, all you got to do is get up there with a microphone.
So have you gone to any clubs?
if you're so inclined, and they may like somebody who has no experience and just starts talking, and they're like, yeah, and they think it's really funny. And they're like, but I've been doing it for 30 years, entertaining or film, music, video,
Well,
acting.
I mean, then you got it, buddy. Why don't you go down? Is there a comedy club nearby you?
There are, I think, a bunch of many comedy clubs, but I don't know which one I'm going to go to.
Just pick one and go.
They're the two big. I know there are at least two that are very big. The Comedy Store is a hugest one, but you need an agent to
So go to one that you don't need an agent, that you can just walk in the door, put your name in the hat, and do your thing.
Yeah, there are many places like that where you can go around town.
So why don't you go? You've been there almost a month. Have you been there a month yet?
Well, Bill Maher has a TV show on YouTube. Bill Maher, you know that guy, Bill?
Yeah, I know Bill Maher. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And did you meet him before?
Oh, not like I met him. No, but I've seen him in person, and I was standing there looking at him, and it was not that interesting to me. So I kind of went off with the.
He's not as into God and Jesus, but he probably believes in God too.
He believes in Bill Maher. That's who Bill Maher believes in.
But he has a show on that he started, a podcast or show or something he films in his house.
Is he still on HBO? He used to be on HBO.
It's called Any Random Bar or something like that. Any Random Bar or Club or something like that.
Sounds like you got the idea from me. That's my shtick.
In LA. It's called Any Random Bar in LA.
Yep.
But your show might be called Any Random Bar.
Any random anything. That's my show. Any random anything.
No.
If I'm not quite in bars.
You're in North Carolina.
Yep. Right up on the border. I'm like between Virginia, West Virginia, Kentucky, North Carolina, and Tennessee. I'm in the real squirrely neck of the woods. We had. How did that storm hit you? Oh, you're in California. You don't know about the storm. We had a tornado that zipped through here. That was kind of surreal. Didn't quite hit me, but it hit friends of mine down in the flatlands. So yes, but I mean, so far the last year, weather has been, praise Jesus, perfect. Really has been summer, springs, winter, from March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, all were amazingly sunny, mostly not too hot, not too cold. Up until last week, it was in the 40s at night, which is sweet, 40s at night, 60s during the day. I mean, and that was just last week. So if it goes back, no, that was like cold. This morning was cold, 17, 17 degrees Fahrenheit, which is like, 15 degrees below freezing. That's cold, But inside my man cave, it was 42, which is, that's 31 degrees above freezing. So that's, wasn't bad. And underneath my blankies in my bed, it was like 98.6. So, no, as long as it's like that, I have no problems. And the fact that I don't eat that much is a blessing. I'm still losing, I'm down to 190, which is really pretty good. And my knees are happy about that. And I'm doing pretty good. As long as it doesn't snow, as long as it doesn't get icy, those are the two things that can be a problem. But other than that, I'm doing good. So, let's see here. Yeah, well, that's a potential, but we'd have to work out a protocol where you can't just throw me out.
What are you gonna do in the winter?
Well, it already is winter, and I'm doing okay, right? So there's a lot to be said for me just staying here. There are a number of people who watch out for me. I have all my doctors all lined up to take care of me if I get sick. Well, I have none of the above in Roanoke.
Do you have a house to live in Tennessee or wherever it is?
Oh, well, in the deep, I have a cave that I live in. Yeah, it's a nice cave. Like I said, I woke up. It was 17 degrees out there in the heather, and in the cave it was 42. So I can live with that. I can live with that. Anyway, oh.